Kenny Clark, and this is Lombardi's Bar.
This is one of my favorite podcasts to do.
I'm just, blessed and thankful to be a part of this podcast. It's a great podcast. It's a great interview.
Maybe I know that you guys obviously being the best Packers podcast that's out there.
I had Malort this weekend, so I'm not tasting anything.
Oh, good.
He did.
God.
He did. That was fantastic.
Because it said, "Did you ever try Malort?" And I said, "No." And then it said, "Do you want to take a shot of Malort?" I said, "No," but I did.
Wait, who said
It's called peer pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried to get in a high honors English class once, and they called my parents and were like, "Hey, just tell him he can't do it."
It shows. It really shows.
I hate you guys so much.
I'm going to throw these two guys into the screen so that if I die, they can carry on the legacy of crap that is this show. And hello, Green Bay Packer fans. Welcome into another episode of Lombardi's Bar. I may not be in my usual locale today, and I'm not wearing the usual bartender outfit. I hope you'll forgive all of it, but it is still a great episode of Lombardi's Bar coming up. And you know why? Because it's going to have me, Jimmy, and Todd in it. And that always means that something will go horribly, horribly wrong, which means fantastic content for all of you. It is the bye week. The Packers are coming off of another fantastic win over the Bears. And when I say fantastic, I just mean they beat the Bears in Chicago, which is always a fantastic time. Lots to talk about with that and the bye week coming up. Obviously, take a second as we get started to remind you, if you have not done so already, go over to the YouTube page, subscribe, like, rate, review, all of that, so you get notified every time that we go live here at Game On Wisconsin and Lombardi's Bar. To get things kicked off, Jacob, real quick, this is the lockdown himself, Jerry Alexander. This is actually my Christmas present. I spoiled my Christmas present to myself. Found it sitting on the stoop, and I don't have a Christmas present anymore. I'm wearing my Christmas present from now on. Todd, welcome in. How are you doing? What's the best Christmas present you ever spoiled for yourself?
My sister was always the snoop. Like I didn't really spoil much for myself. Last year I got myself a Christmas present. That was a new car. That was kind of cool.
So you were one of those families from like the commercial where they're like, "Oh, honey, I love you so much. You got me another new car."
Yeah, except it was just me to me.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of being like, "I love you so much," it was like, "What the fuck did you just do, bro? We had a budget and we just like went fucking way out of it and just, okay, sure. That's what we're doing now."
Mm-hmm. Jimmy.
Yes.
As a fellow dad, have you spoiled Christmas presents for your kids at any point? Have you had that moment yet?
I'm really bad at giving gifts because the second I buy them,
because you don't care about other people or think about anyone besides yourself.
Outside my family, yeah. I once I buy a gift, it's really hard for me to like wait for them to open it because I get too excited. So like I bought Hadley a new robe because she's been wanting a robe to be like Des, and I already gave it to her, so ruined that one. So pretty much Des does Christmas gift shopping because if I do it, the kid it will not wait till Christmas. They'll have it right away.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gentlemen, as I mentioned in the intro there, the Packers got another win on the season over the Chicago Bears and are now the official all-time most winning franchise in the history of the National Football League. How much does that mean to you guys? Does it mean anything at all? Does this act as any sort of salve from the season?
Better than everyone.
It would have been nice if we could have got it. I think we had a chance to get it in like week 3.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been nice to snag it back then. But yeah, it's cool. It's a nice thing to have that, the Packers are the winningest team, especially to take it from the Bears. If it would have been like sliding just, past some random team, you're like, okay, whatever. But to take it from the Bears against the Bears at Soldier Field. Like, yeah, anything nice you have, we're going to take it.
Yeah, I'm with Todd. Especially too at this season, is you got to find bright spots where you can. There haven't been too many. So this is nice, at least, like he said, getting it in Soldier Field, beating them to get it, winning his team in league history. So I don't know. I'm going to hold on to it at this point. Playoffs in my mind. I know people are going to say we have like a 6% chance, but we don't have a chance. I got to just find things to be happy about with this season, and that's one of them.
This feels like one of those weird things that, like, is this going to be a thing now every season that we're tracking? Because, like, right now the Packers and Bears are sort of on they're on a similar trajectory this season. So, like, there's a chance that, like, this comes back up over the last 4 games of the season of who's got the most wins all time. And, you know, even if let's say both teams are roughly 500 over the next, like, 10 years, I feel like there's going to be, like, once or twice every season, there's going to be this little back and forth of, like, well, now the Bears are all time, and now the Packers are all time, and now, I don't know. This I enjoyed it for this moment in this season where they're at, like Todd said, being in Chicago. But after this, I don't really care anymore. I
don't think we have to worry about it anymore this year. They've got the Eagles, the Bears, and Eagles, Bills, Vikings left on their schedule. And at Lions on New Year's Day. So there's a chance that they're done winning. I see the Packers getting a couple more wins in here, at least.
A couple, he says.
A couple.
As in more than one.
More than one.
Rams, Lions?
We'll get into it. But and I haven't seen anything from I have zero belief, zero faith that Justin Fields is the answer. And even if he is a good quarterback, until Chicago proves that they can bring in a front office to actually assemble a team and be good for any period of time, like, these two teams as organizations are on completely different trajectories. Ever since 92, when Favre took over, I think our buddy Tim Beckelheimer from Max was putting it out on Facebook. In 92, when Favre took over, the Bears had an 85-game lead. The Packers made that up, and I don't see any kind of a change happening anytime soon.
I don't know. I feel like the Bears are in a pretty good spot with what they have. Like, Justin Fields, to me, I think is going to be really good. He's a freak athlete. He struggled in the fourth quarter, but he's still young, I guess. Like, I think they have a guy and they have so much cap room next season and a top 5 pick. Like, they're in good position. But then, like, that goes to what you said. If their front office is capable, then I think they're in a really good position to kind of turn the tide on this, just with the cap space and the type of picks they have. And they have Justin Fields right now.
I mean, we've heard the same thing in the past. They've got Trubisky. He's going to be good. They just got to get some stuff around.
Well, that was them convincing themselves that he was good.
They have
no one
Jay
else thought he was
Cutler.
good.
They have Jay Cutler. They just need to get things around him. They've got Rex Gross. Like,
Rex Grossman went to a Super Bowl.
They've went through, thanks to Kyle Orton. They've went through this cycle so many times that I'm just not confident that it's going to stick.
Have they done like a full out rebuild like they did this year? Like trading away players, getting higher picks? Like, I don't know. I feel like this is the first time they're actually embracing this rebuild. When they had Nagy, they were trying to hold on to Trubisky.
You're putting a lot of stock in Ryan Poles being able to take advantage of all of that. So let's see.
But to be fair, we're also putting a lot of faith in Brian Gutekunst to continue.
Do we want to jump into buy around, pay a tab?
Let's do it.
Sure. Let's do it.
Because I'll start it
off,
and I'm going to go with Goody because over the past few weeks, people have really started to jump off of the Goody wagon, and seeing him take a lot of heat for Dan, you specifically, for him not sticking to the plan
Yeah, you piece of shit.
from when they drafted Jordan Love. What was he supposed to do at that point? Not bring back an MVP who just had a career season, and then not bring back a 2-time MVP? Like, those aren't things that a rational GM does, unless you're going to be emotional, unless you aren't able to put your pride and your ego aside and say, look, I have a plan, but the way that he's playing right now, it makes no sense for me to follow my plan. Because his plan when he drafted Jordan Love was based on the fact that Aaron Rodgers was declining the previous 2 seasons. Aaron Rodgers went way back up the ladder once he was drafted. So congrats to Goody. I'm going to buy you a couple of rounds. For one, taking some undeserved heat, and 2, being able to, like I said, put that ego aside and change plans partway through and say, look, this is the route that we're going to go. It's going to hamstring us at some time in the future. We're going to have to pay the piper on this one, but that's where we're at. And if we want to talk about, can he draft? Is he struggling to draft players? There is not a single Ladarius Gunter on this team at this point. Let's remember that. Like,
they did just cut Amari Rodgers, a 3rd-round pick.
We ignore 3rd-round picks. We
Okay.
ignore what they do.
They don't exist?
They don't exist because that goes back before Goody. Like that.
Okay.
That was a Ted Thompson started that curse, and it just is continuing over. It's out
of his hands.
It's out of his hands at this point.
I get it.
And I'm not saying he's hit on everyone. Nobody's going to hit on everyone. But the fact that the fringes of this roster are so much better than they were 6 years ago, like that's where you have injuries, you have guys go down, and you get a Keshawn Nixon to step in rather than Ladarius Gunter starting in the playoffs for you. Like,
but when you look at all the other, like when you said what else he was supposed to do, like get rid of a 2-time MVP, but when you look at these other trades for quarterbacks, like it's turned out very well for the teams trading away the quarterback.
Yeah, but did any of the, like, who's traded away a guy that's at the top of his game on a team that is built to win?
But
what
I think
you want to talk about the Lions trading?
But what
Stafford?
I think Jimmy. But the point Jimmy's making is look at what Seattle did. That was a team that wasn't necessarily built to win right away, and the quarterback that they were trading away wasn't exactly at the top of his game. But they got a big ransom out of him, and had a quarterback that was able to come in and replace him pretty steadily. So I think you extrapolate that and say, what if the Packers could have? Imagine if the Packers could have had the same situation with a better roster and a better trade bait quarterback.
There's a reason that it's never been done, because nobody in their right mind does something like that.
I disagree.
Show me a back-to-back MVP that's been traded. Show me an MVP that's been traded.
But just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean it doesn't work or wouldn't work.
I'm not saying that it wouldn't work, but I'm saying it's not something that you do. And to sit there, because here's the thing. So they trade him away and say Jordan Love goes through the same growing pains that Aaron Rodgers went through his first year as a starter. So now are we sitting here today going, well, it is what it is, or are we going, wow, you just traded away back-to-back MVP for this guy? This is your hope, this is your future? Like,
there'll be bitching no matter what happens. It's just, I think the big frustration is, and I don't blame him for what he did. I also wouldn't have been mad if he traded away Rodgers and got the ransom, but he switched plans, went with Rodgers, paid him all this money, and now we're in the position that we're in. So like, it makes sense. People are frustrated about it. Like, changing plans didn't work out for him.
And I would argue that the rational plan is to stick with your original plan. The emotional plan is to stick with the guy that had the hot season. Because
hot 2 seasons. And let's remember, prior to that, had multiple hot seasons in there.
But isn't it also weird to commit to someone who's just spent the last 2 off seasons thinking about retiring? Like, one season he wants to be traded, the next season he can't decide if he wants to play or not, now you're in this limbo.
It's not even so much any of that. It's that history shows that at a certain age, the drop off comes, and it comes and hits hard, and you don't know when it's coming. And so if you have a guy that's playing like that, like Aaron Rodgers was at that age, you don't give him a new contract. You cut bait. You pulled the Bill Belichick and you cut bait a year too soon rather than a year too late. And for me, that's what I feel like the plan was to cut bait when he was still good and be able to get something out of him. Now at this point, you've hamstrung him with a bad contract that no other team will want to take. And his play this year hasn't shown me that there's really anybody that's willing to give you anything of true value for Aaron Rodgers at this point. And so that's my.
I still think there will. I don't agree. I think there'll be a team like the Colts.
I'm sure
throw in a bag of Coke and Irsay will give you a.
But imagine the bargaining power of having Aaron Rodgers before this season on the trade block versus after this season. That's and the emotional thing is to give him the contract and stick it out because he's the two-time MVP and he can do all this and he's Superman and he just keeps on fighting. And how can you trade away? That's the emotional side for me. That feels like feels the more emotional decision.
There's not a GM in the league that wouldn't have tried to keep an MVP playing at that caliber. There's not a successful GM in the league.
I'm not, but I think that's specious reasoning.
You think that guys just willing because there's an MVP every season and an MVP has never been traded after that season. So you're telling me that,
but not all MVPs are 38 and also debating retirement.
Right.
Okay. So what are you going to get for a guy that you can't guarantee he's going to go play for the other team?
The deal that
we're going to trade him, and if he retires.
You're telling me the Broncos wouldn't have given us
the Broncos what they gave
were ready
to roll back the Brinks truck for us to give him the deal or to get him away.
It's still not emotional to keep him around and to give him a deal to stay. That's not an emotional decision. That is the decision that any GM is going to make.
I think it's all hindsight. Like if this would have been, this all comes up because the season turned to shit. Like if it would have been another 13-4 season, I don't think no one would be saying this, that he made a mistake. It just
Dan would have.
No, Dan would be complaining about something else about Rodgers, not this. But no, it's just this is what's going to happen though when you stick to a plan. Like you said, if they would have traded him and Jordan Love played bad, we'd be bitching about that. It's just what happens. You're going to bitch about something because it's what you do with the sports, and it just so happens now it's because he gave him the big deal. And he hasn't been playing well.
If they had moved on to Jordan Love and he would have been bad, I wouldn't be bitching about them moving on. That's committing to your plan of a rebuild. And you're either committing to Jordan Love being bad or good. If he's bad, then you get another quarterback. If he's good, then you found your quarterback. But now we're in a limbo. You were trying to play both sides of the ball, and it doesn't work. That's all I'll say about that. Jimmy,
we'll get into it later.
Okay, we'll get into it again.
Todd's pulling the Jimmy card a lot today. Second time he's done it.
Who are you buying around for, Jimmy?
I'm going, and this one's just for Labo. I'm going with TJ Slayton. I've seen him put in the chat multiple times throughout the last few weeks, but whenever he's on the field, he's been making, like, there's a few times a game where you see him wrecking a run in the backfield. He's learning how to use his massive body of a man to just keep the line of scrimmage, win that battle, and help in a run game that's been pretty horrendous. Last week had its troubles, but did pretty well after that 50-yard run from Fields to kind of slow him down. But I don't know, he's done well, and I think I'm on the big bandwagon. I saw Jacob Westendorf. I hope he's still in the chat so I can tell him how stupid he is, saying like it doesn't make sense to say play the young guys, but in certain situations it does. Like when you have a TJ Slayton and ahead of him is Dean Lowry, get him the fuck out of there. When you have a first round pick in Devontae Wyatt and you have Jerron Reed, who isn't playing great, is not playing horrible, still get Devontae Wyatt more touches. Like there's a difference in just playing someone because they're young, and there's a difference in playing someone that you've already invested draft picks in. You're hoping to make an impact in the future, and let's see what he can do. The same argument we're doing for Jordan Love can we put on those players as well. Of you need to see what you have, because eventually you got to get fucking rid of Dean Lowry. One, so I don't have to hear Todd complain about him and 2 because he's really not that good. But TJ Slayton, I'll buy you around because you've been killing it. You've had to step up. So
Yeah, what irritates me is TJ Slayton and Devontae Wyatt both played 9 snaps on Sunday. The good thing is Dean Lowry is down to 50% of the snaps on defense, so that's trending in the right direction. But how are you? And I understand in every situation playing the young guys doesn't necessarily make sense, but this is one where Dean Lowry is clearly not getting it done, and I don't think he's part of this team after this year. You've got 2 young guys like TJ Slayton. I feel like he's one of those guys. He just needs to get into the rotation and into the field for the game to find out if he can play ball or not. And if not, like this might be the end for him as well. And Devontae Wyatt, the number, I think we said it last week, like every time I see him out there, I go, wait, who's that guy? Oh shit, that's Devontae Wyatt wrecking that play. Okay, interesting. And then you don't see him again for 2 quarters.
Yep.
For him and for Slayton and Wyatt to only play 9 snaps apiece blows my mind.
How many players do you think have a higher cap number on this year's salary cap, have a higher cap hit than Dean Lowry?
Devondre, Kenny, Jair.
Devondre, no.
Rizzo?
Devondre is not ahead of him.
I'm
Rizzo?
gonna say he's
No.
in the top 5.
He is in the top 6. He is 6th highest cap hit. Or I'm sorry, 7th. There are 6 people ahead of him. Rodgers, Bach, Preston, Kenny, Amos,
Oh, we were
and
doing
Jair.
okay. I was just thinking.
Yeah, we were
defensive
doing the
players.
Packers this season, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I know. I was just thinking of defensive players ahead of him. I didn't think
Oh
of the
no,
Rodgers.
he
Bakhtiari.
said
Right.
he said
Of
the
course.
team. Yeah, he said the whole team.
Okay, cool. Fuck off.
Yeah, the team.
Very irritable today, Todd. Don't start. Don't start.
You want? I mean, I haven't pointed out the fact that you're wearing a fucking Bears colored sweatshirt.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
It's Bush Latte.
I'm aware of what it says. It
My hat
doesn't
matches.
change the fact that it's orange and blue.
Oh, I'm so sorry because all the Packer shit behind me doesn't show what team I like. I'll never wear orange and blue.
There's a Raiders
Thank
thing
you.
back there.
Yeah, I fucking love Marshawn Lynch.
Okay.
I'll stand by that.
I
Todd,
would
you're wearing
also
I love Hot Mom shirt. So how about before you give me a hard time,
I'm in a
you
strip club. What do you want me to do?
you consider the type of clothes you wear and then give me a hard time.
I don't. This doesn't say Bears. It's not Vikings.
This says Bush Latte. It doesn't
Sorry
say
for-
Bears either.
Sorry for being a fan of moms, Jimmy. Jesus,
Shout out to moms everywhere.
all of them, especially the hot ones. What up? DMs are open.
I stand by what I texted you yesterday. I'm gonna hit you with a car.
Are you guys ready for me to blow your minds?
I don't.
Sure.
I don't like where this is going to go.
Are you
I
ready
hate
for
where
me to
I hate
blow
where this
your
is going to
minds?
go.
I'm excited.
I'm already so angry.
You want to know who I'm buying around for?
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
I'm going to buy around for Aaron Rodgers.
Well, yeah, you just shit on him just a little before this. So you might as well.
As much as I shit on him, as much as I have a problem with him as a human being, to see another moment of the Packers in Soldier Field upsetting the Bears and him doing the salute to the crowd, that did it for me. That really did it for me. And as much as I've had a gripe with him over the last year or so,
The Nazi looking salute.
Yeah,
That's what,
I was
that's
saying
what
that-
did it for you.
That looked really January 6th. It makes sense why he liked it.
in slow motion, it did.
Speaking of which, where were you on January 6th?
January 6th, is that what we're calling it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your favorite holiday.
No, just that with the whole season the way it's going, I'm not happy when they lose, but I know that there's a positive that can come out of it. I'm ready to move on from Aaron Rodgers, but to get at least maybe one more moment like this in the sun with Rodgers owning the Bears and doing it with young guys like Christian Watson really warmed my heart. In Whoville, it made my heart grow 3 sizes that day. Shut up, Jacob.
You say nice things and then you ruin it by just saying stuff like that. You're Whoville hard. Like it just ruined everything.
I was making a Grinch reference. I'm the Grinch with Aaron Rodgers, and he made my heart grow 3 sizes that day.
And it's seasonal. It's topical. Well done, Dan. Well done.
Thank you. Oh, it comes full circle. How about we pay the tab?
Let's do it.
I'm going to have everybody in the goddamn chat pay the tab. Everyone shut up about it.
If you would just answer where you were January 6th.
I've told you where I was.
January 6th. We would drop it.
I've told you where I was.
There's no
in my kitchen.
Yeah. I was at home by myself. No, you weren't.
Kelsey was with me. She can
yeah.
vouch for me.
Whatever, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like she wouldn't lie. I'll jump in.
Damn right she is. She's ride or die.
I'll jump in for pay the tab. I'm doing our cornerbacks because and I know we've harped on this all season, but what was supposed to be like the strength of our team, and we have Rasul. He forced a fumble. They both did the same thing.
Wow.
Yes, she was.
January.
Yes, she was.
But we had both of our cornerbacks made, like Jair had the interception, Rasul Douglas had the forced fumble. But those both came after plays where they got burnt. Like Claypool burned Rasul. Then Jair got burned by fucking St. Brown and N'Keal Harry. How is that a thing? And then we've been bitching this whole time, like, hey, we need to follow their number 1 wide receiver. But then that happened. I was like, does he need to follow their number 1 wide receiver? Because he's getting burned by 2 scrubs that N'Keal Harry couldn't stay on it, like can barely be on a team. He's only playing because of injuries. And then St. Brown was our garbage scraps that we didn't want anymore because he wasn't good enough. But then he's out there fucking roasting our best corner. And then Jair called him a scrub after the game, but it's like, you can't call somebody a scrub after they fucking torched you. So our cornerbacks have left a lot to be desired. Sorry, I just saw the cue of Dan.
No, I think that's all, every point of that completely valid. I was thinking the same thing during that whole Bears game of, you're supposed to be one of the best cornerbacks in the league. And I understand cornerback is a really tough position to play and to play like at a high level. But buddy, you can't be getting burned by EQ like that and still running your mouth afterwards. I mean, you make up for it with the interception, which I understand is part of like the way this defense is supposed to be designed to work, is that, you might give up big plays, but you're supposed to be opportunistic as well. But yeah, dude, like you cannot be getting beat like that by a guy like that.
It wasn't like a one-time thing because Terry McLaurin burned him twice in that Commanders game. Then you had last against the Titans. Granted, it was in garbage time. No one saw a pass coming. Still got burned down the field for that big play, their last offensive pass of the game. So it's happened more this season than it has in a really long time. And again, it's just bad, just like with the Rodgers thing. It's just bad timing because it comes after a contract. Like our big contract players, Kenny Clark's disappeared. Devondre's took a step back. Rasul's much different right now. Jair hasn't played as normal the way he's been playing the last few seasons. So it's just everyone that we've really relied on just kind of was like, you know what? Let's all regress together. And it's just been a recipe for disaster. My rant's over, Todd. You can go.
Yeah, it's been gross. I'm going to jump in with someone you just mentioned there. I'm going to go with friend of show, Kenny Clark. We're trying to give him and his foundation money, and he's just not accepting it.
I was waiting for this, Dan. Go ahead.
What you got, Dan?
I made the same goddamn point, and I got my ass roasted.
When?
Like a couple weeks ago.
No. It was like week 3, right before. It was right before the fucking
you had
game.
to give it time. You had to give it time.
Yeah, you
look, just because I'm a little ahead of my time Doesn't mean I should be slandered for that. Am I so
No, it
wrong?
absolutely does.
But go ahead, Todd. Do you want to finish your point?
No, that was about it.
Okay.
Just not playing great. Would love to see Kenny doing more. And I know people are saying like he's getting double team. He's always got. It's not like he's had great players up front around him before, and all of a sudden this season it's different. It's just not there. Along with the rest of the defense, he just decided, hey, let's regress together.
I hate that I'm using something this person said because he's an absolute douche. But Peter Bukowski put on there that like one of his sources from the Chiefs team is saying like it's super easy to scheme for a nose tackle when he doesn't have help around him. Like it's easy to eliminate him from the game. And so how much of it is that? And I know he was getting double team before, but when that guard doesn't even have to worry about helping the tackle with the Rashawn Gary next to him, like how much of that is like, okay, I can put all my focus now on Kenny Clark, which kind of goes into the point of when you have just Dean Lowry and Jerron Reed as the main defensive lineman helping Kenny Clark, you're putting him in a really shitty situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're spot on. I mean, it's just there. If you're a guy like Kenny Clark and you have his talent, there's no excuses.
Yeah,
especially at a position like that.
It was Dean Lowry and Tyler Lancaster the last couple of years,
and he was beating. He was dominating with those guys. Yeah,
with healthy edges though. That's when like back with even was Darius and Preston, and then Gary and Preston. Like that had to help.
He had Preston and Rashawn for quite a few games this year and still wasn't there.
Yeah, I just feel like the drop-offs have been even more drastic now without Rashawn. Or maybe we're just bringing more light to it than we probably could have at the beginning of the year, but we were too busy yelling at Dan for it.
Mm-hmm. Typical. I'll die on that.
We were well within our rights to do that.
Yeah, for sure. He deserved it. I'm just saying.
I wasn't wrong. I know that much. I don't remember what was said, but I know I was in the right.
I'm going to have Joe Barry pay the tab this week.
Low-hanging fruit?
Not someone original.
Not for the reasons you think. It's not for the scheme. It's not for any play call. In fact, it's not even anything to do with the defense at all. It's the fact that after the Packers' special teams blocked a field goal, the first thing I saw on Fox was a shot of Joe Barry jumping up and down and celebrating as if he had just won the Lombardi. Bitch, this is not about you. Sit your ass down. This is Bisaccia and every other special teamers moment. This is not about you.
He was just happy that they made him look okay. His defense didn't give up points.
No.
It was a sigh of relief.
Exactly. No, that's exactly why. That's exactly why.
So is he not supposed to be excited that happened?
You can be excited, but tone it down a little because I'm with Jimmy. I think it was.
Oh no, time out. Don't say with Jimmy. I was fine with him celebrating because we just blocked a field goal.
I think it's 50. I think it's 50%. He was happy the play happened, and 50%. The special teams bailed my ass out again.
So they're all individual. It's the Packers 3 teams. They're not all. They don't win together. They don't that's not a thing. It's not a team atmosphere.
Not this year. Not with Joe Barry. Nope.
Do you think he called that cameraman before the game and was like, "Hey, if special teams does something, I'm going to celebrate. So make sure you put that camera on me at that point." Like that's that's his fault. That's his fault.
The camera caught you. The camera caught you. You know there's cameras all over. Behave accordingly.
The camera caught him celebrating something good happening on the team.
Know your place,
That's
Joe Barry.
Cold. That's cool.
That was not about you.
He wasn't making it about him. He was celebrating the team.
Dan, you did so well when you gave Aaron Rodgers credit. It was just like, okay, look, here we go. And now we're complaining of Joe Barry celebrating the team doing something well. Again, 2 steps forward and like 5 backwards.
He's not celebrating it. He's not celebrating it for the right reasons. He is
how
a
do you?
bad
Can it be a
hold on.
mixture of everything?
Hold
Like,
on.
He's a
it's
bad
gonna-
faith actor.
It's a relief
Regardless.
and it's a happiness.
So Matt LaFleur shouldn't celebrate anything that the defense does. Well, I'll give that because he's the head coach. Joe Philbin shouldn't celebrate the defense at all.
Fuck's Joe Philbin.
The difference is
Isn't he
Joe
didn't they bring him
Barry.
back to be the
Joe
OC?
Barry hasn't earned it. Joe Barry hasn't earned it.
Okay.
That's the difference.
So he has to sit on that bench. Once the
just
when
a
offensive
little
defense is
no,
out there,
I'm
he
just saying,
sits
be a
on
little
that
bit-
bench and he just
be a little
shuts the
bit more
fuck up.
subdued.
Just
Be a little bit
a
more
fist
subdued.
pump. He can fist pump.
Yeah. Can you
Can't
show
go
us
here.
actually? Show us what a
How
good
his
celebration.
arms-
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
well,
hold on.
Is it January 6th excitement or less?
January 6th, Jimmy.
January 6th level excitement or way less?
Okay, hold on. You gotta let me get centered, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you the celebration that is tolerated, the level of celebration tolerated from Joe Barry the rest of the season. Okay.
That hand was too high, and there was a smirk. I didn't like it. That's
I
too
know.
much.
I couldn't keep the
don't
smirk off.
smile.
I couldn't keep the smirk
Yeah,
off.
and I mean,
Hold on. Let me try again.
honestly, I want that cameraman fired because
Yep.
what was he thinking trying to make that moment
That's
about
good,
Joe
Dan.
Barry? Ooh, that's
So just one of these.
just a nice quick. All right.
But if it goes above
time to actually do my fucking job for once.
above shoulder, bad. Nipple range, fine.
You want it between the nipple and the clavicle.
Okay. Right in the sweet spot.
Right in the sweet spot. Like you want it right here, baby. Right here.
Okay.
now
One
if
love.
it's a defensive player that blocked it, where's he?
Great question.
Because I didn't see
fists?
who made the block because I didn't watch the game.
It was your boy Dean Lowry.
I think if it's a defensive player, you can get kind of a lean into it where you're like, yeah.
Can you say yeah with it, or do you have to be silent?
No, you can go
Okay. So still no verbal communication.
no verbal communication.
I got you.
Yeah.
These are great things to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably
now
the
Joe
dumbest
Barry
fucking thing
knows.
we've done on the show. But
Now
pretty
he
good.
knows. This is education, Joe Barry. Now you know where your place is, buddy.
we've given him so much great advice on this show this season. It's clear he's not an avid viewer.
Yeah. Tis certain. Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's talk about, since we're at the bye week here, kind of a
Already?
yeah, I know. Feels like it just came.
Sorry, I immediately looked at Todd and I was waiting for something. I got too excited and I started giggling about it. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
I want one thing that went surprisingly well this season, and one thing surprisingly bad this season from all of us here as we last week of the bye week. This is a season in review. The last 4 weeks of this season. Yeah. The last 4 weeks of this season are like the month of December for Spotify. They don't count toward your Spotify Wrapped. They are essentially meaningless overall. Jimmy,
This season, yeah.
yeah. Jimmy, what is something that was the most surprising that went well and most surprising that was bad?
I think most surprising that was bad. I think, and it's tough to say this now because of the last couple weeks, but the slow start for AJ Dillon definitely surprised me. Just because going into the year, it was all how we were going to rely on that run game, how important they're going to be to us. Aaron Jones started off on fire. AJ Dillon took a little bit of time to get going. So I think that definitely that was surprising. I expected them to kind of I thought they were going to solidify themselves as arguably the best running back duo in the NFL. I thought that was going to be something that was going to be theirs early in the season. And I think we're getting to that point now, but now it's with the way this season's going, doesn't really matter as much. But they're both doing well. So that shocked me. And then I guess something that Zach Tom being able to be thrown around on that offensive line in different spots is something I'm really surprised about. I know he was getting hype in the preseason, But to actually step into an NFL game at multiple positions, being thrown in last minute when David Bakhtiari's out, like his ability to step in and perform at that level has been really surprising. And it's just the Packers again doing what they always fucking do, finding a mid-round offensive lineman, turning him into a Swiss Army knife, and we're going to see him be a solid starter in a few years, I think, or even as early as next season. So that was definitely a positive surprise.
Yeah, the Zach Tom one I feel is a little underrated. Doesn't get talked enough about the impact that that's had.
Yeah, and he can move around to be able to just like confidently be like, okay, you're going to start at left tackle. Like, when? Next week? No, tomorrow. Oh,
right.
Cool. And then go out there and do it well. Like, I mean, we mentioned it earlier, or maybe it was Andy Herman listening to Pack a Day today. Like, good left tackles don't just grow on trees. And here's a kid that literally they just like found him on a tree hanging out. We're like, go do a thing here.
Just pick them.
Go play some left tackle for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
We might use you at right tackle later, so just be ready to switch.
Yeah.
But right now you're here.
Yeah. How do you feel even about that guard?
Yeah. Can you do that one too?
Yeah. Maybe like, I don't know, tackle eligible. Can you do that?
Fullback.
Let's
Zach Tom, wide receiver.
The only limitation Zach Tom has
punt return
is the two first names.
Probably. It's holding them back. The two first name thing, I can't.
Yeah,
it's a struggle for me still.
It's rough. It's hard to get past it.
After you guys are done, remind me of this because I will forget. Katie, if you can put it in the chat. I do want to ask a David Bakhtiari question before we jump into Bakhtiari bar bets. Throwing that out there now.
Somebody else reminded me of that in a little bit here.
Todd, what about yours?
Surprisingly bad. I'm going to go our safeties.
Bringing the energy, Todd. I like it.
I don't know that I really had high expectations for Darnell Savage this year, but I thought like maybe he can play to the level he was at last year. Getting that fifth year picked up, maybe like that'll give a little spark here, get him going. And then Adrian Amos matching his level of fall off and shittiness. Like I did not see that coming at all. And the fact that no one else has stepped up, the only other safety that saw time was Micah Abernathy, saw one snap in Chicago. So no other safety has stepped in and been like, hey, I can actually fill the void that these two clearly aren't doing well.
What about Rudy Ford?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Rudy Ford was the one that he had 100% of the snaps. And then Adrian Amos. So the fact that like Rudy Ford's the highlight of this group, shocking.
Yeah.
And that there's no one else.
Savage regressed to like Kevin King level.
Bad. Pro Bowler.
Future Pro Bowler Kevin King. Okay. He's taking the year. He's getting his body right. He's going to come back and be one of the best to ever do it.
You know it's bad though. Like when you're talking about safeties and you just get excited when they make a tackle. Like he doesn't have to interception, force a fumble. We were excited he made a tackle. Like that's how bad Darnell Savage was playing. That the most fundamental thing about football, wrapping your arms around someone and dragging them to the ground, was excitement for us. Like that's how you know we were fucked at that position at least.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a rough year.
Yeah.
What about something that went well, Todd?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He's doing pretty well here.
I'm going to go Kingsley. I'm not going to even try his last name. I've said it right twice.
Enigbare.
That's exactly what I said. He's been definitely like a bright spot on a defense that's just struggled. And for him to step in and replace Rashawn, I saw a stat last week that he had the highest rush win percentage of all rookie edge rushers. So for him to step in, being a 5th round pick and perform like that, love it.
Yeah. I think we touched on it earlier on in the season when we talked about his play, but I think it's fair to keep bringing up is, in the preseason, the one before all of this happened, the one weakness everyone was talking about with this defense was pass rush. Where's the depth at pass rush? And to have a guy like him come in and do it on this defense, which is underperforming, and then not only that, but filling in basically a starting role almost for Rashawn to a certain extent, that's impressive. That's well beyond what you expect out of a guy like him.
So speaking of like edge rush depth, we brought that guy in from the Rams. He had a great game against the Eagles. Did he play or do anything last week? I forgot about his existence until right now.
14 snaps.
He did do something because I remember sitting next to Matt and I was like, who the fuck is that guy? And Matt had to look him up on the Packer app and he was like, oh, that's that guy from the Rams. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right, him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we found a little steal like that too, because if he can produce,
yeah,
obviously who knows, but to come out against the Eagles, the best offensive line in the league, and a shifty ass quarterback and Jalen Hurts, be able to get a sack and make tackle for loss, like that's who knows. Fuck it. At this point in the season, try it out.
He did neither of those things, but he did have an assisted tackle.
There you go.
Hollins?
He didn't have a sack against Justin
in the
Fields.
Eagle game? Sorry, Eagle game. Jalen Hurts.
Yes, he had a sack there. Yeah. You said Justin Fields.
Oh, but before that, I said the Eagles offensive line.
I wasn't listening before that, idiot.
I mixed up the two quarterbacks. They're both shifty as hell.
Shifty.
Who do you got, Dan?
My surprise of how bad it was is the special teams.
Todd victory lap.
Yeah, this is a Todd victory lap. Because I was among the camp of Bisaccia comes in and will turn this around. At least be middle of the road. And to an extent, you might say that there have been some positive changes because somehow we have two special teams players in like the top 10 of Pro Bowl votes. Pat O'Donnell and Nixon are both in the top 10 of Pro Bowl votes. But it's still a lot. I mean, it's the same. The Amari Rodgers thing took forever to get fixed, long before it mattered at that point. And we've still seen too many mistakes on field goal coverages. They don't seem to have a plan in place for what happens with Mason Crosby when he finally kicks the bucket, so to speak.
I feel like he's the weakest one, though. Like I feel like we have to be the only team that never get, and Todd says this all the time, we're the only team that never gets touchbacks.
Yeah.
Like we can never just rely on our kicker kicking it deep into the end zone, and then we don't have to worry about our coverage unit. But it's every time they're more vulnerable for mistakes because it's always fucking happening. There's never a chance for them to get a touchback unless there's a fucking 20-mile-an-hour wind at Crosby's back. Besides that, it's going to the 2 every single time.
Yeah. So yeah, that I was at least expecting it to be middle of the road, and it hasn't been. It's been disappointing. My surprising thing that went well, I'm going to go with Quay Walker because, you know, as much as I feel like
a first round pick playing well,
not at this level. I feel like
he still has his issues. He's still not a tackler.
He still has issues, but I mean, look back to 2020 when everyone wanted us to take Patrick Queen at middle linebacker. Patrick Queen's a surefire middle linebacker. He'll be the next Ray Lewis, and it didn't pan out. Middle linebacker feels like one of those positions, like a wide receiver or tight end, where it takes you a year or two to kind of really get settled. But Quay has done not just a good job of acquitting himself as a player to the league, but he's taken on basically a leadership role in this defense, taking over play calling when Campbell is out and seemingly doing an adequate job of handling whatever Joe Barry is throwing at this defense. So I will go with Quay. I mean, we expected him to be good, but I don't know if we expected him to be like this right away.
And to take the reins and for those few games with Devondre out and lead the defense, be the main guy. It's impressive.
Yeah. All right.
Can I ask my question?
Go ahead.
Yes. All right. With Bakhtiari, when we're officially out of the playoffs, your opinions, do we rest him? Is he pulled out too if we bench Rodgers? Because of knee health, he's already – well, I guess now it's not as important because he's out with the appendectomy or whatever, but should he be just pulled out and let him recover? Because if he's going to be on the team next year, shouldn't we just let him rehab it more, or is it just is what it is at this point?
I think if he's healthy and able, you put him out there. You can't keep running with this guy as if like you're scared that he's going to get hurt again.
Aren't we though?
No, then you have to be scared that everyone's going to get hurt again. Or do you pull Elton Jenkins? Because
not everyone wakes up on a Saturday and their knee feels weird and then misses the game on Sunday. Like this isn't an every player situation. This is a special David Bakhtiari out for like
when's the last game? When was the last game that he missed prior to the appendectomy? It had been a few weeks that he had been in there pretty consistently, right?
No, didn't he miss the Lions game?
That's one where he stopped playing, or like he missed.
Or no, he stopped. There was one game where it was Washington. They didn't play him.
Yeah, so it's been a minute.
And then then there was the Lions game where he was out, and then he started, but he sat out for a while, and then went back in for the last drive. And then Alex just said Buffalo.
Can't trust what Alex says. It's probably a lie.
I trust him with my life.
Same. Either way, it's been a few weeks. Like if he's healthy and wants to play, great. If he wakes up and says my knee hurts, then Zach Tom, go for it. But I don't.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's the decision you leave up to the coaching staff. I think it's as long as he's cleared medically, if he would like to play, he can play. If he doesn't want to play for whatever that reason is, then he can do what he wants. Because I think at this point, it doesn't matter what happens with him. So really, I think you're playing anything he's getting out of this by playing is all mental, of getting back in the rhythm, of showing that he can play consistently and realizing that he can play up to that same all-pro level that we know. So
also I feel like there's going to be some guys, one specifically on New Year's Day when the Packers play the Vikings, that he's not going to give a shit what's on the line or who's playing quarterback. He's going to be bringing all of the heat he has. And regardless of who is playing quarterback for the Packers that day, I want the best available pass blockers in the game at that point.
Yeah.
Talking about Zadarius Smith, Jimmy.
I understood.
Okay.
Thank you though.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, let's jump in. I've got two bar bets here for us in the bye week, and they have nothing to do with, well, they do have something to do with the Packers, but they have nothing to do with the Packers being on the field, obviously. Pretty simple one. There's only one NFC North game this weekend, and it's between the other two teams not on a bye week. Vikings come here to Detroit. The Lions are a 2.5-point favorite at home over the Vikings. So, Todd, who are you taking, the Vikings or the Lions?
I'm going to take the Lions just because I think it's hilarious that the Vikings are 8-2 and they're underdogs against the Lions. Like, that's just that. I love that so much. I think Dan Terra is just going to fucking get that team ready to go. Exactly. 5 Bakhtiaris on the Lions.
Okay. Jimmy.
We have to root for the Vikings on this one, right? Just to help our playoff chances since the Lions are ahead of us.
I don't think that this one affects playoffs.
I mean, it does, but
if you win out, it doesn't.
Well, it still helps if the Lions are ahead of us and they lose a bunch.
I think, okay.
I do think the Lions are going to win. They're on a hot streak right now. They're playing really well. Just fucking stomped on the Jaguars last week.
The who?
You know who the fuck I said. The Jaguars last week. And I think they're going to continue going. Dan Campbell has them fucking fired up. And when Jamal's scoring 14 touchdowns in the season, you're doing something right. So I'm gonna give it to them. And I fuck the Vikings. They suck.
How many Bakhtiaris are you on?
4.
Okay. I agree with everything you're saying. I think it's all fair. I would love to see the Lions actually win because fuck the Vikings no matter what. However, as any Detroit-based bettor will tell you, don't ever bet on the Vikings because they will break your heart. And so I will take the Vikings winning this game, and I'll go for Bakhtiaris on
You
that.
just said don't ever bet on the Vikings,
Right.
and then took the Vikings.
Oh, the Lions.
Okay.
The
Don't ever bet on the Lions. You're taking the Vikings?
Don't ever bet on the Lions. I'm taking the Vikings.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Alex's question: do we want to make the playoffs?
No.
Yes.
Fuck no.
Because if they make the playoffs, that means they are on a hot streak, and I want to see this team get hot and just get in. If you're a hot team and you're winning at the right time, they were the wild card when they got in back in, what was it, 2011? Cool. Slide in. Let's go.
Okay.
I'm with Todd. I would still take the playoffs. Yeah.
Speaking of the playoffs, will the Packers be eliminated from the playoffs before their next game on Monday night? Because I'm pretty sure that can happen if the Giants win this week and beat the Commanders on Sunday night next week. The Packers will be officially eliminated from that 7th wild card spot. So, gentlemen, will the Packers be eliminated from the playoffs?
I don't know, but
before?
I'm not sure what she's agreeing with, but I'm saying that's point for me. I'm right.
I agreed with you though, so that also means me.
Yeah, Dan the dummy.
Big dumb idiot.
No, I don't think they will be. I think this is I can't give up hope. I legitimately think this team can still go on a run. I hate myself for it. I know what's going to happen. But no, they won't be eliminated. They're going for it. It's fine.
Okay. Jimmy.
I'm going to say no. I think we're eliminated after the Dolphins game on Christmas. It'll just be an added fucking Christmas present to all of us. Packers are officially eliminated. 3 Bakhtiaris.
Okay. I'm going to say 5 Bakhtiaris. Yes. I think this one is over on Monday night, and Monday night just becomes a glorified preseason game on Monday night.
So then if we are eliminated, is Rodgers playing on that Monday or is Love?
Rodgers will play because it will be his last home game in Green Bay.
No. They have the Lions. They have the Lions and Vikings.
There's 2 more home games. It will be Rodgers' last home game in Green Bay.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that will do it for us here on Lombardi's Bar. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. As always, follow the show on Twitter at Lombardi's Bar. Follow us, the network as a whole.
Follow us.
I got it. Yeah, I got it. Game on WI in Twitter. Follow all of us at our little socials right there in the bubbles. For producer Nick, still back home on his sabbatical. For Jimmy, for Todd, Dan the bartender here, saying cheers, everybody. And as always, even on the bye week, go Pack Go.
Go Pack.